And we are live. Welcome, anybody and everybody. And, well, Danny's got the announcer voice.
Welcome to another fabulous edition of Friday Night Nerd Fights with Salty Trekker and the Dork Knight.
Yeah. By the way,
on tonight's episode, we're going to review XMen 97, episodes 1 and 2.
True story. Thought you would enjoy this. I'm going to dox myself a little bit, but that's okay. So, I recently got a newer car. Right? It's not new, but it's almost new. It's
new to you, but yeah.
Well, it's a 2023, and it only had 5,000 miles when I got it. So it's like as close to new as you can get and not be new,
Yeah.
Anyway, so I just got approval from the state for my disabled license plate, which is going to actually say Salty One on it.
Nice.
So,
my son, he went by Salty Dev for the longest time, but not because he had an attitude, because he's a skateboarder, and he would actually sweat so much by the end of the day, his clothes would be like crystalline with white, and they'd be stiff like cardboard, just because he sweat. And so his friends started calling him Salty, because it looked like flakes of salt. And anyways, he wanted his license plate to say Salt Shaker, but he couldn't figure out a way to make it few enough characters. So he put SLT SHKR, and everybody thinks it's Slut Shaker. True story. He still has that license plate, by the way.
And so, by the way, and the other thing I do want to make sure anybody that's watching knows, I know there's, anybody. I know
what up, Mastodon?
Is that a friend of yours?
Yeah, he's from one of the wrestling shows.
Oh, okay.
Couple of them, actually.
So that Last Jedi review, the first part of it drops tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. If you want to watch all 30 parts, you need to be a channel member.
30 parts?
It's 30 parts. I told you, it's 8 hours of review.
Oh, wow.
And so, I go in deep on Last Jedi. I mean, you will
I can't remember the last time I went in deep. It's been so long. Come on, man. It was a softball. You laid it up.
Yeah, that was
me.
horrible,
Right.
though.
Yeah.
Anyway, no. Okay, this is an in-depth review. Mm-hmm. All right. I mean, I literally go scene by scene and break down everything. However, it is, and this is something that I made a point of, and the first part that drops tomorrow is like an introduction to the review. It is a non-politicized review. So I don't talk about Mary Sue's. I don't talk about mansplaining or any of that crap. Any of the agenda stuff that people hated about The Last Jedi. Leave it completely out, and I just review it as a Star Wars movie, forgetting about that stuff.
Okay.
And then I do a couple of videos at the end of the review, like part 28 through 30 is where I delve into the politics, but not during the review itself. Gotcha. So I go through every single scene in the movie without sitting there going, oh, this is just anti-man or whatever crap like that.
Yeah, I am, I don't know. Did this happen? I am legitimately pleasantly surprised on my channel anyway. Yesterday's video had no flags whatsoever. Had no issues whatsoever with copyright.
Well, that
did yours?
No.
Yeah,
but we didn't play any super long clips, and that's just got to be careful about that. Is that you don't want to play apparently movies that are in the public domain because that'll get you shut down.
Yeah, well, I know you. I won that. I'm sure you did too.
They dropped it because they have no case. You can't own a movie that's in the public domain, no matter how much you want to. I mean, you can own a copy of it, but you can't own the rights to it.
Yeah.
All right. So, but today we're not talking about Plan 9 from Outer Space. Today we are talking about XMen 97. So this is a direct sequel to the X-Men series that ended in 1997, which is why this has the name X-Men 97.
Yeah, and that was the year I graduated high school, to put this into context for people. And that, so we got, it's 7, 17, 4, 5, 6. So this is what, 20?
My daughter was 2 years old, so thank you for making me feel old.
So is this, I suck at math. Is it 27 years in between?
It was a long time ago.
Hold up, I'll do the math.
It'll be 30 years in 2027. So, how's that?
So 27 years. So the reason I bring this up is because I was talking to Salty yesterday, and so this is for the benefit of the viewer and those in the live chat right now. And I'm like, dude, I watched the show religiously. I remember certain beats, but I mean, why didn't they? I was fully expecting them to have a previously on X-Men recap at the beginning of at least the previous episode. Nothing. So I had to pause it. I hit you up. You tell me what to look for. Thank God for Screen Crush. It was like a 37-minute video, went through all 5 seasons, kind of gave me the refresher. And then I went back and started episode 1 over and watched episode 2, which the cliffhanger at the end of episode 2. My God, I can't wait till we talk about that.
Yeah.
But
hot take. Anything you want to say, basically your general impressions before we get into it?
It was like reliving parts of my childhood, because this came out my 8th grade year, I believe it was. My 7th or 8th grade year, the first season 1.
You're killing
and
it.
I was sorry. And so this was like mandatory. It was this and Spider-Man, the animated series. Mandatory viewing for me, being such a huge Marvel mark. And man, this was like, what's the analogy I've used in the past? Just wrapping myself up in a warm, cozy blanket. It was nice. I loved it. The animation's similar, but better. You know what I mean? It's like,
you can tell it's more modern.
Yeah. But it's still close enough to where it even the animation gave me the nostalgia feels. You know what I mean? Right. So
it was the same style. It's just that it was. I think the difference was that this is
like Wolverine looks a little different. Like everybody looks mostly the same, but they just they sharpen it up. You know what I mean? And
it's like when a comic book changes artists, though. It does feel like a continuation.
Yeah. So I thoroughly enjoyed the first 2 episodes.
So I want to. Here's my only hot take: is that every one of you out there bitching and moaning about how woke the show is, suck my.
Hi, Anthony.
Hey, Anthony, how you doing? So
I was trying to cut you off.
No, that's fine. That's because
greetings from Las Vegas, Mike Richards.
It did feel genuinely like just a continuation of the series. Look, what the X-Men have been an analogy for all people that are, oppressed or whatever, that still stands, but they don't all of a sudden go, let's talk about sexual identity or anything. It's not there. Mm-hmm. In fact, the only relationships we see is heterosexual ones. We got Cyclops and Jean are now, this obviously takes place a little bit after the last series, because Cyclops and Jean are married and have a baby.
I've been thinking
having a baby. I should.
Well, they have the baby by the end of the 2nd episode,
right?
But I think I read online. You're talking about this woke thing. People were losing their shit because Morph. It came out in an article. He's non-binary or whatever.
As non-binary, yes.
But first of all, it doesn't come up in the show, and it's Morph. I mean, he can become a man or a woman. So I kind of didn't need you to point that out. You know what I mean? He literally, there's a scene where he actually, not fools, but he's talking to Wolverine as Jean Grey, and Wolverine's says you, and he's like, I mean her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't give a shit. If you want to complain about something with Morph, why did they change? He always
why is he pasty white now?
Now he looks like Voldemort. Yeah. You know what I mean? He really he's got no nose and a white face.
And I think I get it. I think the idea, because Morph, one thing that a lot of people, the normies, not you and me, because you and me both read X-Men comics, but the normies don't understand that. Morph was not a comic book character. Yeah. Morph was invented for the show because they wanted to create a character they could kill off. And and they killed off Morph in the second episode of the first run, but then he comes back towards the end.
They bring him back as a villain.
Yeah.
He's being mind controlled, and then the X-Men save him. He kind of snaps out of it, and
now he's a
back.
team member again.
Yeah,
but as far as his weird, he looks like to me like a cross between.
Oh, look at this, Broken Birds. Welcome. Yeah, I knew you'd be watching it. You big old Rogue fan, you. Got that love triangle going on with Rogue and Magneto, and
I wasn't expecting that. But yeah. So and that's another heterosexual relationship. We got Magneto and Rogue, and we have Gambit and Rogue. Even though, man, for a split second, I thought Gambit was going to be gay. And you know the scene I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, did they make Gambit gay? It's but
where he's like topless cooking. That one.
Yeah. Well, he's wearing like a halter top. It's
yeah. Or he's topless playing basketball. He's got the halter top on in the kitchen.
Yeah. So. But yeah, I think the reason that Morph looks like a puffy version of Michael Jackson is because they wanted to make it so that his natural form was kind of featureless.
Androgynous, yeah.
And that makes sense given what Morph is.
Yeah.
Morph is a mutant that can take any shape instantly as far as looking like a different person.
Yeah, if they want to talk about this show being woke, I mean, guys, shut the fuck up. I mean, please. This is
and who knows? Maybe we'll eat our words in 3 or 4 episodes. But
I hope not.
But really at least the first 2 episodes, it just feels like X-Men. There's nothing about this that feels like, oh, they broke X-Men. Disney wokeified X-Men. No, I'm sorry. It's just X-Men.
Good job. No, I know. And so yeah, let's get into it, man, because we're already talking about stuff in the episode.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just
no, it's fine. Oh, well, what's your hot take? Clearly, you loved it too, right?
I really enjoyed it. I think that I see where they're going because obviously, if you know the Nathaniel storyline, you kind of
Yeah.
But the and you know why there's 2 of Jean, but
I do. Don't spoil it for them.
Yeah. So
the normies, as you call them.
But I'm just saying, like it's cool that they're following comic book storylines, but obviously they're going to take their own take on it.
That's the cartoon has mostly always done that. It really has.
Right. They did the Dark Phoenix saga and stuff. They modify a little bit, make it a little more kids.
They did that. Yeah. Well, I mean, some of the stuff. Again, guys, I can't thank Screen Crush enough because I didn't have time to watch 5 seasons before this came out. They have a couple clips where their little dog on Screen Crush is like, and this is a kid show? He says that like 3 times because there's some pretty adult stuff going on.
Right. Although I will say that they do tame it down a little bit from the comics. And by the way, so let me actually do something.
What we got here? Daniel's Hot Topics. Welcome. He says,
"Hey, Daniel, I haven't talked to you in a while.
Spider-Man, the animated series, may return since X-Men 97 is Super 6. I actually hope so because I don't know if you guys remember, they crossed over with Spider-Man a few times. I believe it was like season
Spider-Man
4.
should show up.
I think it was season 4. So I hope you're right, Daniel.
I would,
Hey, Ariel, welcome.
And I know, like, they say that this movie is not canon to the MCU, this show, that it's in its own separate thing.
That's fine. I don't care. Right. As long as it's continuing the X-Men from my youth, I'm good. Right. So.
But I think that, here's the funny thing, because remember, how do you know that anyone in Hollywood is lying? If they're being interviewed and they open their mouth, they're lying. They're saying what they were told to say.
Amanda, I didn't mean to dox you. Broken Birds. I hope you're just saying that to troll me because he's my favorite. If not, fuck you. I love
Spider-Man's not my favorite, but dang, how can you hate Spider-Man?
He's always been, him and Batman have always been my favorite.
He's like the most likable guy in the Marvel universe,
Yeah. Yeah.
I've always been a Fantastic Four guy, but I do love Spider-Man. So and Spider-Man and Johnny Storm are besties. So that, which I hope they bring into the MCU when they introduce the Fantastic Four. I would love to see Tom Holland, Spider-Man, and the Human Torch become friends.
Wow. Okay, Broken Birds. Off screen, you and I are going to have a discussion about that over coffee. By the way, guys, throw that thing up for me real quick. It's still in there. Well, I just want to let everybody know that as of today, I am 18
Oh.
days sober.
Dude, I don't have it on this screen. I'm
Oh,
so
you got
sorry.
rid of it? Okay.
No,
well,
I didn't get rid of it, but it's in the Thursday night one. I haven't set it up on the Friday night one.
Okay. Well, we were going to do a PSA, but we failed. But anyway, no, I'm 18 days sober as of today. I did my last day of IOP because I told them there's no point because AA is free and it's better. And I like tonight, I'm actually going to a 10 o'clock and a midnight meeting. So on Friday and Saturday, I do these midnight meetings also because they're a lot of fun. And hey, it's helpful because back when I drank,
That's when you go and drink.
Yeah, it was late at night. So it's pretty cool.
Well, especially on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah. So instead of even having the temptation of going out, I'm hanging out with a bunch of other recovering addicts and alcoholics. And tonight's game night, which is fun.
So tonight's gay night.
Game.
So you guys are all the dudes are going to pair up, and all the chicks are going to pair up. It's gay night, everybody.
Game.
So yeah.
Triple H, not just regular games.
So just Danny
Anthony Mark, you rock. He just retweeted the tweet. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, Anthony.
Thank you, Broken Birds. If you ever want to go to a meeting with me, let me know. I'll go to an earlier one if 10's too late. But I go to the 10 o'clock Camel
she
Club
in your
every
area?
night. Yeah. She's real life friends, IRL friends.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So they start out with a definitely newer version of the opening, but very, very reminiscent of the original opening. Like there's more about this that's like the original than that's new.
Always nerdy is another wrestling friend. Come on, bro. I'm not even my sponsor, Bo, great salt of the earth human, has wisely said you want at least a year of sobriety before you even think about dating. So none of them register. There might be, but I don't even. It's like this one of the housemates here. We were driving the other day, and we were parking in the grocery store, and I guess some hot chick walked by, and he's all like, "Whoo wee, blah 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 blah," and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You didn't see that girl?" I was like, "Man, they don't even register on my radar anymore. I've been single for 11 months." And I'm focused so much on my sobriety. And now that my sponsor says don't date for another 11 months, I don't even.
Right.
So I don't know, nerdy. If you want to find out, go to AA. You could probably use it. I've seen you drunk on the show a few times with Joe. So.
All right, so we're going to talk about XMen for a while now.
Yeah. I was interacting with the chat. No, we got a good show. I got 8 people watching live right now on my channel. That's
really?
a record. Yeah, that's a record.
Wow,
for me,
that is a record for you.
Yeah.
And
for some reason, we only got 11 on yours, man. We got to pump those numbers up to yesterday's numbers. Numbers were impressive.
Well, the problem is Friday we're competing with some of the big names out there. So.
Oh, yeah, like Friday Night Tights and shit like that. Yeah.
You don't have to mention it by name because then people go, "Oh crap, I'm missing that show," and then they switch.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, please don't. We're more real.
You want Friday night nerd fights.
That's
not
right.
Friday night something that rhymes with it because that show sucks.
Friday night nerd fights.
Yeah. All right. So, but notice this is actually our very first look at the new morph. It's in the.
Yeah, he looks like Voldemort.
Yeah,
I swear.
But the.
Oh, Ariel, I hope you're just trolling because you're going to get me in a lot of trouble. You can watch the replay. Stay here. You're our favorite. Come on.
Yeah. Ariel better stick around, or else someone's gonna.
You can do like my mom. My mom probably has 4 different shows streaming simultaneously right now. Isn't that nuts?
Your mom is insane.
I know, man.
I love your mom, but she is certifiably insane. So I mean, she's like watching not just this stream, but any stream that Danny's ever appeared on,
and even ones I haven't. Like I've never been on Gary's show. She watches that guy. Never been on Midnight's Edge. She watches them. Never been on Mornings with Loki. She watches them. It's weird. I created a monster. It started with the shows I was on.
So Anthony's never been a fan of the X-Men, so won't be seeing the new series. Let me say this. Sure, yes. If you've never seen the X-Men before, can you jump into this and enjoy it? Yes, but it does depend a lot on some prior knowledge. Like you need to know who Magneto is, for example. If you don't know who Magneto is, episode 2 is almost meaningless as far as the emotional weight of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Episode 1 is really just a reintroduction to everybody. You could probably get through that. You get
Well, you'd still have to know who that radical group is. You'd still have
Friends
to know
of
who
Humanity. Yeah.
Friends of Humanity. You'd have to know. I guess in episode 2, you'd have to know who the sewer dwellers are. I forget their names.
The Morlocks.
The Morlocks.
Well, you don't.
So
but you see, but the thing is, if you don't know who the Morlocks are, they're not a. It's not a big deal. You just know that there are people living in the sewers, and they're mutants.
Yeah.
As far and the Friends of Humanity, you know that there's douchebags that want to kill all the mutants.
Yeah, but they
And
played
so-
a big role in season 5. You know.
Right, but I'm not saying the Friends of Humanity were important, but you can get away with watching the show.
I guess, but they reference a lot of stuff. Like they're like, we destroyed all the Sentinels, and you told us that you'd gotten rid of them all.
Right.
Blah blah blah. You know, and then turns out,
Yeah,
nope.
it does feel like a direct continuation.
Yeah.
Now, but what I would do, honestly, if you don't like the X-Men, fine, then this show is not for you.
Yeah.
You know, because if you didn't like X-Men back in '97, you will not like X-Men '97. That's
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And they either got the same. I didn't check the credits, and we don't have a research department anymore. They either got the same voice actors or people that sound a lot like them.
everybody that's still available. They like, for example, I know that the actress that plays Rogue is the same actress as is
Okay.
the actress that plays Storm.
Okay.
And I believe the guy who's Wolverine is the same guy. Now, if you listen, you can tell they're older, like especially Rogue. I mean, Rogue sounds like an old lady now because the actress that plays Rogue is like 130 years old. If you look her up, she is really old. So she doesn't sound exactly the same, but it's close enough.
Yeah.
This is my least favorite thing about any X-Men that takes place after the time that I read the comic book. Call her what she is. Freaking Marvel Girl. Jean Grey is not a superhero name. Why is everybody going by Cyclops, Storm, Rogue?
Well, that's because that's how
Jean
she was
Grey?
back in the 90s, cartoon. I mean, they're just continuing that.
I know, but I hate it. I hated it in the 90s, and I hate it now. Why isn't she Marvel Girl? Oh, Marvel Girl's not... No, I'm sorry. Marvel Girl's a fine name. I don't think that there's anything wrong with the name. And if she wants to go by Phoenix instead, go by Phoenix.
But she's not Phoenix. That's a totally different...
Well, I know the Phoenix Force is one thing, but like if she wanted to change her code name to Phoenix... I'm fine. But you know what? I mean, come on. Could you imagine if you're watching, like a Top Gun type movie, right? And it's like, there's Maverick, there's Iceman, there's Joe, there's Falcon, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, there's the...
Marvel Girl doesn't sound awful. That was her name. That was her name from the 1960s all the way up until the Dark Phoenix saga.
Well, Ariel, you got to remember, and this is why probably one of the reasons why they go out of their way to say this cartoon is not canon, is Rogue got her powers by basically absorbing Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So that would kind of mess up their live action stuff.
Well, except that remember, they're doing a whole multiverse thing in the live action. And that's why I'm thinking, well, just make this another part of the multiverse.
Well, there is a theory out there that in that multiverse of madness that was Charles Xavier
in this universe.
Yeah, and then somebody was also trying to say that the Beast in the after credits scene.
He looked like this Beast.
Was also from this animated universe, So.
That's why I think that what I was getting to earlier, like when actors and producers and stuff, they're always lying to you when they're in interviews because they always tell you what they were told to tell you. They're not. Yeah. They're not like. Let me tell you. Newsflash, everybody. Tom Holland did not accidentally spoil anything. Single spoiler he dropped was pre-planned.
Yeah.
That's just how they do it. they're always scripted. And so when they say, "Oh, this show is not canon to the MCU," that is a big flag to me to say, "Oh, this show is canon." They're going to do something like maybe it'll be in Secret Wars or whatever. They're going to do something where they bring all these guys into it. And so I absolutely believe this is part of the MCU multiverse.
Right on.
Yeah. But I still hate that she's called Jean Grey, and because when they form the XMen in this, like let's say they create a new X-Men team where Professor X recruits these young mutants, is it going to be Angel, Beast, Cyclops, Iceman, and Jean? Why is the one girl not get a code name? It's stupid. All right, so then we get to boy, that one thing looks like one of the Autobots or something right there.
It really does, doesn't it?
And what's interesting is, so this part of the opening is the same, like this is classic Brotherhood of Evil Mutants stuff right here.
Yeah.
Where you have Avalanche, Sabretooth, Pyro, Lady Deathstrike, the White Queen, and Juggernaut, along with Magneto. But the thing is that Magneto.
Did you say Mystique? I think you missed Mystique. She's right next to Sabretooth.
Oh yeah, I did miss Mystique. Yeah. I didn't see her hiding there next to Sabretooth. But this is classic Brotherhood of Evil Mutants charging in. But we know Magneto is not. If they do the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, Magneto's not going to be in charge of them, because the storyline that they're in, Magneto should be in charge of the X-Men for a while.
Yeah, and well, I'll get to it when we get to episode 2.
Yeah. All right, so we start out and they kind of, here's their recap. Professor X is dead.
But is he though? Because really, he was just taken away.
Dead.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, we do. Come on, man. I'm not trying. Fine. I'm going to go ahead and spoil the Jean Grey thing then. Not now, but later. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, don't they? Okay. Let me ask you this: in the X-Men, the final episodes of X-Men, don't they get Charles to the Shi'ar?
His ex-girlfriend picks him up and takes him to space to try to cure.
Yeah, she's the Shi'ar Empress.
Okay, there you go. Then yeah.
And so Lilandra is her name. And
yes.
And so Lilandra has uber special alien technology, and while yes, it's true that Professor X was killed, but then they immediately get him to Lilandra, and you know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. He's going to be shacking up with Lilandra in space for a while, and then he'll eventually come back. At least that's what happened in the comics. They could do it differently if they want, but that's what happened in the comics. So Professor X is dead, and the Brotherhood, or the Friends of Humanity, are working as an underground operation to kill mutants whenever they can. And they get this one Puerto Rican dude who is Sunspot from the New Mutants, if you don't know. They never call him by name, but that's who he is. And I'm sure you recognized him.
Say that again?
Sunspot from the New Mutants. Yeah. They never call him Sunspot. They only, but as soon as they said his name, I knew who it was. And I was wondering, are they going to bring in the New Mutants? I wouldn't mind if they did. In
the other cartoon, they brought in X Factor and like all kinds of groups,
I know they had Cannonball in like one episode, the Sam Guthrie. But the New Mutants are an interesting team. Unlike the New Mutants movie, they're actually an interesting team. Did you see that movie?
I haven't seen the New Mutants. No, it was delayed for years, and then I don't even know what streaming service I could watch it on. You know what I mean?
I think it's on Disney. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it's on. I don't remember. I watched it though, and
I'm surprised they released it, at all.
It's not very well. I'll say this: it's not horrifically bad, but it feels very incomplete. It feels like an episode of a TV show, honestly. All right, so these guys are, they have this cool technology, and they're going to use it to kill I
want to kind of answer this. So, Daniel's Hot Topics, he's asking me, who do you want the next mutant to join the X-Men after Magneto? I'm hoping Juggernaut joins the X-Men later down the road.
Juggernaut will never join the X-Men.
He doesn't join. In fact, so you get a version of the X-Men under Magneto, and that's what we're reviewing, ABJ's episodes 1 and 2 right now. We're on 1 right now. But I believe it was Sabretooth and Mystique. I don't know if they're going to do this in the cartoon, but in the comics,
Mystique led the Brotherhood after.
Yeah, but Magneto brings in.
Oh yeah,
Mystique and Sabretooth to the X-Men for God, I can't remember. I think that was during Age of Apocalypse. I can't remember. But I do know he brings at least those two into the X-Men fold at some point in time. So if they follow the comics, I mean, Juggernaut's never going to join. I'll tell you that right now.
Juggernaut absolutely hates them.
Yeah.
And the thing about Magneto is that he doesn't hate the X-Men. He just disagrees with their methods of trying to bring about peace. He thinks peace should be beating down the other guy until they can't fight you anymore.
Even though the X-Men did save his life in a previous episode.
Right. But, so so they're about to kill this dude because he's a mutant, and then Storm shows up and kind of says, hold my, I don't know, whatever she drinks.
Hold my beer, bro.
Yeah.
I guess.
And I'll tell you, Storm is the one mutant you do not want to F with, because she can kill you 1,700. Well, we know. But that was in the comics too.
Yeah.
Everything they're doing in this was a comic book storyline. So
but you guys, you got to remember though, man. Even if people, only reason I know a lot of this because these were from X-Men issues from the 80s.
Yeah, when it was really good.
Yeah, and the only reason I know this stuff is because I read runs of trade paperbacks of like Age of Apocalypse and other things like that, but you were of the actual age where you probably read these as they were coming out, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
yes, I was reading like Days of Future Past. I got that in the mail as a subscription.
Nice.
So, the thing is though, is I hate this white costume. I like her black costume she was actually wearing back then. Granted, some people say, "Oh, that's sexist because it shows so much skin." Well, made her look awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, it just did. It was an awesome costume. Anyway, so Bishop and Storm, basically start wrecking these guys. And then Cyclops shows up. And I do like that this Cyclops isn't the neutered Cyclops we got in the X-Men X-Men movies. Yeah.
I know, man, that always bugged the shit out of me in those movies. I'm like, where's the badass from the cartoons, man?
Yeah, Cyclops is the mutant Captain America.
Yeah. He's supposed to be. Anyway.
He's a great leader. He'll kick your butt 17 different ways because even though, yes, his optic blast power has its limitations, but he is also, trained to fight in every way there is to fight.
I love this scene coming up here in a second with Cyclops. Do you know what I'm talking about?
What, when his glasses get...
Yeah, and he's like, I surrender. And then he's like, not, or psych, or whatever he says. And he just like blasts the whole place up.
Yeah, he says not.
Not, yeah.
Which is hilarious. Such a 90s thing for him to say.
Yeah.
And I also like, that like right here is a good shot of it. This is classic X-Men. Cyclops had to actually tap a button to open up the visor in order for his optic. Because what a lot of people don't understand is that his eyes are constantly shooting a beam.
Yeah.
And so the ruby quartz in his glasses are the only thing that can stop the beam. And so...
gosh, you don't like Spider-Man and you don't like Cyclops. Come on, Amanda. Come on. What is
How
with
could you not like Cyclops?
Come on, especially in the cartoon. I get if you don't like the movie Cyclops, because I didn't. I thought he was a little pansy.
Yeah.
You know, but
The
and that's
only
not
good
and that's
moment-
not Marsden's fault. That's just how they wrote him.
No,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
The only good moment that Cyclops had was when Wolverine came around the corner. He's like, "It's me," and he's like, "Prove it. You're a dick." Okay.
Okay.
You know, that was the only good moment he had. You know.
Yeah, totally. So, okay, Amanda, I'll tell you what. You want to fight? We're looking for someone to take Jason's place. So put your not your money
where your mouth is.
Yeah. So if you message me if you're interested, we'll give you a tryout on tomorrow, Saturday. Yeah, we'll give you a tryout tomorrow morning. Just at me or message or text me. We're friends in real life. Yeah, just text me if you want to do that, and then we can fight. Oh, and I don't think Steven would like that because I'd be copping feels. I'd have to. It just and that would make our friendship weird. Steven's her boyfriend, fiance, husband. I haven't seen you guys in forever. You guys, anyway. Back to this is the part I'm talking about. Yeah.
So they're fighting. One
Just
of the guys
play it for a second so you can hear her say it. It's so funny.
Yeah, one of the guys actually is stupid enough to. One thing you never do is take off Cyclops' glasses.
Surrender.
Yeah, he's saying he surrenders because, and you buy into it if you're a fan because you know that Cyclops is always deathly afraid of losing his goggles because he can't control his power.
Not. That was awesome.
Yeah. And then, yes, the whole place goes up. And hey, Stanley, we're just getting into episode 1 here.
Yeah.
So then we, here's gay. For some reason, in
the '90s, a lot of like muscle dudes wore those shirts.
I've seen lots of
dudes
women
that like
dress
work out.
like that.
No, I've seen a ton of straight dudes wear those like crop tops when they're at the gym and stuff. It was a very '90s thing.
Pink.
Man. Well, hey man, I wear pink. I got pink on my shirt right here. Is it just me, or does that look like a pink Star Trek outfit that Rogue's wearing?
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
But yeah, so Gambit I'm sorry. Gambit looks like he ran the gambit, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Gambit and Morph are having some fun together. We get the usual innuendo between Gambit and Rogue.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan. But Hulk Hogan was gay. Everybody knows.
I know, Ariel. That's what we're saying. Like it's a questionable fashion choice.
And look, don't get me wrong. If they wanted to make Gambit gay, I would be okay with that. If it was the way,
I'd only be okay with him being bi. I would be okay with him being
what I was going to say is, I would be okay. But
he's got a history already.
That's. Let me finish.
Okay.
I was going to say I would be okay with that if that's what he was all along. That's what I was saying.
Okay.
Is that I don't care about whether a character is straight, gay, bi, non-binary, pansexual, whatever, as long as they are established that way.
Yeah. Okay, Melphis, why did they turn Cyclops into an a-hole in the comics? Well, if you found out that you married and knocked up somebody who wasn't actually the person you intended, you'd be an asshole too.
Spoilers!
Just saying. And he'd probably turn you into a lifelong dickhead as well. I'm just saying,
And then I love that look on Professor X. So obviously that's not Professor X walking into the room.
Right.
That would be Morph. And then we find out Jean is freaking pregnant as heck. And so I was like, whoa.
Well, they did establish that several months had passed. Mm-hmm. So while it's been 27 years for us, it's only been about, they treated it like it was, how like a season ends and it comes back 3-4 months later. They treated it like that.
Right. Well, this is a little more than 3 or 4 months. This looks like, because she's ready to pop. And
well, she could have been pregnant and not showing, in
the last season.
Yeah.
But were they married at that point? I don't remember.
No,
I think they got married in the last season.
They got no, but So what happened was they got married, but it turned out to be morph, so it wasn't real. And then they got married again, I believe, at the end of season 5.
So in the end of the last season.
Yeah.
So it would make sense if this takes place somewhere between like close to 9 months later. So I'd say this is a year after.
Oh, I got another wrestling buddy here. So you know what? That's what Garguts gets for not starting his stream until like 1 a.m. But, I digress.
Who the heck is Garguts?
Oh, he's one of my wrestling buddies. He's probably asleep right now. Or no, he's probably at work. Anyway.
Well, Garguts, don't anybody check out Garguts right now because
he's not. No. Garguts isn't going to do his review. He literally doesn't get on until 12 or 1 my time. You know what I mean? Yeah. So no, don't worry. Yeah. We're not competing with him.
All right. So Jean is very, very, very pregnant, and
or is it Jean?
Dude.
Sorry, I said I'd wait till the second episode. My bad.
Granted. Oh, and I know that they did get the same voice actor that voiced Beast in the original.
They series. Did, because I was thinking he had to be one of the originals because it sounded just like him. Yeah.
My only problem here is that, man, they duplicated him in live action so well at the end of the Marvels, and they didn't use his voice there. They used Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah, and that was weird to me. I wish they'd have used this guy's voice.
Yeah, so either they should have used Kelsey Grammer here, or they should have used his voice in the Marvels.
Yeah.
And
it would have saved him a lot of money too, because I'm sure Kelsey Grammer's way more. Yeah, totally.
And then we get reintroduced to Jubilee.
Is it weird that when I was a kid, I had a crush on Jubilee? Is that weird?
Yes.
It is okay, but I did. I had a crush on her.
You know what? You had a crush on everybody that was female.
Not true.
Dr. Crusher.
Jean Grey was a little lame. Now Storm is a smoke show, but she'd hurt.
Although I prefer Storm without the mohawk. I like her better with her full hair.
I agree. Me too.
And this is the one thing that's a little. I mean, granted, I know they're picking up from the last series, but she didn't have the mohawk until after what happens to her in episode 2 happened.
Right. So, Dreamer's Lane. I miss doing the show too, but after being continually doxxed by Twinkle and talk shit about and all that, it's not a friendly place. And as of today, I'm 18 days sober, and Garguts is always getting drunk, and he gives me shit, and he thinks I'm full of it. So I might come back someday, but
And gonna keep
look at this. When ABJ was a kid, he tolerated Jubilee at best.
I never cared for Jubilee. I think for the fact that you had a crush on her just says you're a pedo or something. I don't know.
Oh wow! I was a kid at the time. I was her age. That was
you
totally normal.
Now
she's still a kid. That's the fucked up thing about this. 27 years went by and she's still the same age. So no, it's weird now. But back then I was her age, so it wasn't weird.
And I missed something because Stan Lee says, yeah, there were some dudes too, and I'm trying to figure out.
Dudes too? What?
Look at Stan Lee's comment. He said, yes, there were some dudes too. I'm not sure what that's a response to.
Yeah, me either.
And Dazzler, way hotter than Jubilee. They should have they should have had Dazzler and not Jubilee on the show.
Yeah.
I don't. Was Jubilee made up for the animated series, or was she already?
No, she was in the comics, I do believe, but I believe they used Jubilee because this was supposed to be a kids show, and she was, she'd be a character they could relate to.
But you know who I think they should have used honestly is Sprite. You remember Sprite from the 80s? Yeah. I think Sprite was a better character, and she had that whole thing going with Colossus and stuff. And I like Sprite, not the drink, the character. Anyway, so the I can't remember Sunspot's real name, so I'm just going to call him Sunspot. Sunspot goes into the danger room with Jubilee, and he's like, "Yeah, this is stupid. It's all fake." And so then Wolverine shows up and beats the crap out of him. Which
Is Roberto da Costa.
Roberto, that's what it is. Roberto.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, and I love that because Wolverine is just he doesn't care.
And the kid thinks that this is like a hologram or whatever, and then he's like computer in program, and he's still there.
Yeah. Which, by the way, that was a TNG reference right there because they never said that.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, look
at his eyes.
He's like, "Holy crap! This guy has actually got metal claws at my head."
Yeah.
And this is just kind of weird. They're talking to this chick at the UN, and she's on a treadmill.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
It's the 90s, man.
Yeah, but really? I do love that picture on the wall, though.
Oh, yeah. It's a throwback to XMen 1, the comic book issue.
Isn't that like right off the cover of X-Men number 1?
It's close. It's not the cover, but it's close. Yeah.
Thomas just sent me something, but it's...
Stanley, that's how I took it too. He says she's so busy. She has to work out while making phone calls. She's a head of her time, working woman.
Let's see. I got to show you this. This is funny. And go to... Thank you, Thomas, for interrupting the show. Jerk. Let's see. Here, where's the downloads? Yeah, pictures right there. So, add new layer, media file, upload new, downloads, bada bing. All right. So this is one of those little meme things. So look at this. You ready? So Riker's Captain Scott. This is Lieutenant Worf. And you see Scotty there. This is obviously from Relics, right?
Yeah.
Wait, I've seen you before. Weren't you on that space station that got flooded with tribbles all those years ago? Because remember Trials and Tribulations?
Tribulations from Deep Space Nine. Yeah.
Space station, tribbles. I'm sorry, sir. I have no idea what you're talking about. We should return to the Enterprise so you can rest.
Because it hasn't happened yet.
Yes.
From Worf's point of view.
Then O'Brien, welcome back. So who's the new guy? Holy crap, he was there too. That actually is a scene that should have happened.
Yeah, but that episode came out way after that episode. So.
Yeah. So there we go. Thank you, Thomas, for interrupting the live stream so that we could get a laugh out of that. That was actually pretty good. All right, so they figured that in order to find out why did the Friends of Humanity have this weapon, they got to track down Bolivar Trask, who in this universe is not a dwarf.
Well, it's because this is the comic book accurate animated universe.
Yes,
I want to answer a question somebody had in the chat.
Okay,
why it was Iceman wearing boots. I believe it was Ariel that asked.
that's because that's what he looked like.
Yeah, like if you see in this picture here from the first issue, you can't see my mouse, but if you look right
Iceman's dead center.
Yeah, but you can see he's wearing boots. If you look just under Professor X's left foot, you can see that Iceman's got a boot on right there. So, yeah. So they're just being comic book accurate is all.
Yeah, so Iceman actually looked like a snowman back then. He didn't look, and so they changed the way that he looked completely. Mm-hmm. And so it's like the Human Torch looked different in the early days of the Fantastic Four. You just, you couldn't see his features like you could later. Anyway, so they want to track down non-dwarf Trask, but the only way to track him down is to go and visit Henry Gyrick in prison. That's kind of weird. I did not know Professor X's middle name was Francis.
Charles Francis Xavier.
Yeah, did not know that one. And Jean wants to quit the X-Men because she's pregnant. All right, so then they're playing basketball. Of course, we got to see the dudes without shirts because sexy time. So we see, and Wolverine. My wife even pointed out, shouldn't Wolverine have more hair? It's like,
right? Yeah,
he really should. Because if you've never seen in the comic books, Wolverine without a shirt is like a freaking carpet.
Yeah.
Like I've seen Lore. It's like, remember Lore Reloaded in the videos of him with no shirt on? Double that. And of course, Gambit has no shirt on because he's gay now or something. And there's non-binary with them because he's so non-binary that he never mentions it.
Yeah.
So they go to a nightclub, try and track down Roberto because he snuck out, and they're worried he's going to get in trouble. Right here, Gambit tries to touch Rogue, and she puts a stop to it.
We know Gambit's not gay.
Yeah, that's a joke.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
We're just making jokes here.
Yes. Yeah,
calm down. She's getting heated. Calm down.
We make politically incorrect humor around here. So,
yeah.
At least until
especially like right now, he's trying to get all cozy with her. And then later when he sees Rogue and Magneto, cuddling or hugging or whatever, he's all heartbroken and drops his card or whatever.
And yes, Stan, all the girls are wearing extra clothes. Kind of fun. But, hey, I will say this. It's always been socially acceptable for men to walk around wearing less than women. Yeah. And so you
wouldn't want to see me walk around with my shirt off, that's for sure.
Well, unless somebody super chatted a whole lot of money. Mike Richards, I forgot.
You'd have to split it with me. I'm the one that'd be suffering the humiliation. Good Lord. I look way better with my shirt on.
I'll vouch for that. All right, so so is he right here? He's trying to touch her, and she gets a little skittish about it because, of course, with the way that Rogue's powers work, if you touch her skin, then you have problems. We've seen the truffle shuffle. That is true. And what's weird? Oh,
I did do the truffle shuffle. That's
right. But what would be? Here's what an audience. You got. If you've seen both, I'm right. The most weird feeling you could ever have would be to have Danny do the truffle shuffle, and then on the same stream at the same time have Deej doing the truffle shuffle, because and then get Captain Foley. And so you could see this massive amounts of hair, little bit of hair, and Captain Foley is smooth as ice. He has no hair on him. And so, because when Captain Foley gets drunk, it's very easy to get him to take his shirt off.
God.
And amazingly, they're actually showing drinking. Speaking of drunk, and this is the scene you're talking about where Morph becomes Jean.
Is it this scene?
He does it twice. I think.
Yeah, the scene I was talking about was when they're
outside.
Outside, yeah.
And so then at the rave, Jubilee starts launching fireworks everywhere, which, by the way, if you have Jubilee's completely useless powers, this is the one time her powers would not be completely useless. And Daniel,
at a rave.
You could say that a million times. Juggernaut is never joining the X-Men. It's not going to happen. Just.
But happy birthday.
Yes.
Hopefully you don't end up like me. I had a heart attack 6 days after my 37th birthday, but I was also.
You're going to freak Daniel out. Come on.
Well, Well,
Now
he's not
he's going to be
400
worried
pounds.
that he's got 6 days to live. You know.
Well, it didn't kill me.
All right. So yeah, so Jubilee uses her incredibly worthless powers to light up the rave. Because has Jubilee ever actually hurt anybody?
I don't know.
Because her powers are literally just sparklies. That's her power. She can make sparklies. And you can see they're not particularly dangerous since she's been in a big crowded room and throwing them around like they're nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
I just noticed her earrings have her name on them. That's kind of weird.
Well, she's a weirdo. Yeah. So then they go to interview Gyrick.
Uh-oh. I shouldn't have planted that seed. Do you see this?
See, now Daniel's going to be freaking out. Way to go, Danny. And his name is Daniel.
Yes, Amanda, you did come visit me when I had that heart attack. Lots of people did. It was very sweet. Of course, most of them have ghosted me, but I'm glad we're still friends.
I'm trying not to ghost him. I'm trying. It's difficult.
Hey, once I get to step 9, you'll be getting a phone call from me as well.
Will I be getting a check?
No, it doesn't say pay those you wronged, make amends with those.
Yeah, that's how you make amends, is by paying them.
Oh, God. Anyway.
How much money do you owe me for the swear jar?
I thought we did a bet that I won that wiped me clean.
No, you did not do a bet that wiped it clean.
Oh, now I got to go back and scour through hours of videos. Never mind. It's fine.
We did make a bet, but I don't remember what the bet was.
It's all good.
But I don't think it's actually... Oh, no. We have... The bet was Colonel Ty gets with number 6.
Oh, and we still haven't
we still haven't
finished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
One of these days.
Yeah, we'll get back to Battlestar Galactica. Sans Jason, sadly, but we will get back to it. All right, so they're talking to Gyrick, but they have the secret plan where Jean is hooked up to Cerebro, and going to probe Gyrick's brain right here.
Yeah.
And let me see if I can
amplifies my psychic,
find the right spot.
allowing me to penetrate your thoughts from any distance.
She can penetrate you.
Get out of my head!
Shut up, Maddie.
All right. So she sees the Sentinels, which is kind of what they're ever after.
Not enough. We need backups. I know a plan.
I gotta Dwayne
Right
my
there.
Johnson. I'll be right back. Keep going though. I'll keep listening. I'll be right back.
So she sees something very, very ominous right here. And I think that whatever this is going to be have something to do with the big bad of the season.
Something's wrong. Someone else.
See, she says something's wrong. There's someone else. So whatever that is, I think is the big bad for the season. I don't know if it's Mr. Sinister because they've already kind of done Mr. Sinister. I don't know if it's going to be Apocalypse because they've already done Apocalypse. But something big and bad is hiding behind Gyrick and Trask. And Stanley asking Daniel if his arm is numb. Who else is psychic? Well, the White Queen is psychic, but she actually eventually becomes an X-Men. Obviously Professor X. There's, what will be interesting, although I think they're using it for the Deadpool movie, if I remember correctly, is Professor X's freaky twin sister, which I've never read anything with her in it, but it's that could be it. But like I said, I thought they were using that character in the Deadpool movie. And so I'm trying to think of other psychics. You think Professor X is the mystery psychic power? Well, Professor X is not evil. I don't think Professor X has a major arc where he turns evil. Or maybe he does. I don't know. Well, because I didn't read X-Men after like the mid 80s. So, yeah, the fetus sister, Stan, exactly. I was thinking that, my understanding is though that character might be a big part of the Deadpool movie. Face in the bottom right corner. That would be me. Or at least Danny's vision of me. So, thanks, Ariel. And by the way, why did you change your name to Ariel the Bullet? I don't get that. I don't know any X-Men stories except what's been on the screen. Just throwing out an idea. No, on the show. There's a face in the bottom right. I don't see a face in the bottom right. Let me go back a little bit. I mean, I think those eyes have something to do with it. See, there's Jean. Has pink hair. And I know she has a vision here that includes their baby boy. Trying to see if they're... Oh, right here. But that looks like that's Master Mold, which is just the Sentinel leader. And that graveyard looks a lot like Days of Future Past.
So I was listening, and because... Yeah, I'm just going to spoil the fuck out of this. It could have been the real Jean Grey.
Except that the problem with that is that the real Jean Grey isn't evil unless she's still Phoenix.
Right.
And I don't think she's still Phoenix, right? I'm trying to remember.
Well, her last incarnation was the something Queen or whatever.
The Black Queen was she was Black Queen when she was under the control of Mastermind.
Yeah.
But that was during the Dark Phoenix story.
I thought it was Mr. Sinister. Was it Mastermind? See, that's a problem with this show. It has a 27-year gap in between seasons. My God.
Anyway, so the X-Men then get in their jet, and the jet gets blown up, and they all have to get to the ground. So Rogue, obviously, she can fly, plus she can grab a couple of people. Morph transforms into Archangel, which surprised the crap out of me because at first I thought, oh, Archangel's in this?
Hey, thanks for subbing, Evelyn Raymond.
Thank you. Yeah, right there you see Archangel.
Yeah.
And Archangel, it's Morph, obviously, and Morph grabs Wolverine. One thing that people say, I think people are trying to put too much into it. That Morph and Wolverine are really close, so they think they're gay or something. No, they're just bros.
Yeah.
And they were that way in the first two episodes of the original.
Yeah, remember because Wolverine was so pissed that Cyclops gave the order to leave him behind.
Right.
Because
he and Morph were best friends.
Oh.
And then Cyclops has his most badass moment that he's ever had ever.
I know. I was like, this was cool, man.
He just points straight to the ground, like, and bam, he pulls a full-on Goku there.
Yeah.
And because a lot of people don't understand that Cyclops' beams are not lasers. They are pure kinetic force. And so if you get hit by Cyclops' beam, you're actually pushed back. Mm-hmm. And if he hits you full strength, he can push you back through a wall, very easily. And so by pushing this kinetic force at the Earth, he's slowing himself down. And so yeah, and then he does the superhero landing. Yeah, because he is a superhero. So yeah, that was completely badass. Like I think they did that on purpose because they just wanted to give Cyclops a badass moment.
Yeah.
Which is fine because man, Cyclops has been so treated unfairly over the years. I like to see him done right.
Yeah.
You know, I also like the fact that while Wolverine, notice they're not pushing Wolverine to the front of everything, which I really appreciate because while Wolverine is a great character, he's not supposed to be the main character.
Right.
You know, Cyclops is actually the main character in the X-Men, if anybody. Cyclops and Jean.
Yeah.
I hate calling her Jean. But here we get our team pose. You know, everybody's ready. Yep. And there's Trask, and he's got a master mold with him, and so they fight these like broken down Sentinels. And it's a pretty good fight, I'd say.
They're I'm pretty sure this is where they're playing while they're fighting. They're playing the theme, I think. Right? Yeah, they are.
Yeah. And they all get to, you know, they basically, all the X-Men get to unleash on these Sentinels. I do like the Beast turns one into a puppet.
Yeah, he takes over one. He's
Yeah,
like,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's something because like Hank, it's funny because Beast, while he is super strong, he's not as strong as like he's not like really alpha level strength like Rogue or Colossus, but he's stronger than a human. He's super agile, but not quite as agile as a character like Nightcrawler. However, Hank's biggest asset is he's insanely smart. And so figuring out how to hotwire a Sentinel is no big deal to him.
yeah.
Yes, Stanley, he is a genius and a bona fide genius. You know, he's not. Wolverine is just Wolverine. He likes cutting things up.
Yeah. What's that supposed to mean?
Yeah, and then the Sentinels detect an alpha level or omega level threat, and that's Storm.
Omega level threat. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, because that's something that this is, I think, their introduction to it. There's something called omega level mutants, and that's a mutant that is so powerful that they could literally destroy the world. Right? Storm is one of them. Magneto is one of them. Obviously, Phoenix is one of them. Although Phoenix is even beyond that because Phoenix is literally a force of nature. But these omega level mutants are just, you know, insanely OP, and Storm is one of them. Because Storm can control all of the elements of the air. So, you know, not good to piss her off. So she uses her powers to literally just look at that. It's like, yeah, you don't mess with Storm.
Yeah. No.
You just don't. And this was kind of cool. So Gambit energized Wolverine's skeleton so that Wolverine could go up against Master Mold. But now, help me out here. Wouldn't that make Wolverine's skeleton explode?
Right? I don't know.
I mean, that's
wouldn't there be like a small glow underneath his skin at least? You know.
But I'm just saying, like usually, like the way that Gambit's powers works is he transfers energy into an object, but then that object explodes a few seconds later.
Yeah, I don't know.
And so Wolverine's arms and everything should just start exploding.
Maybe it's his regenerating thing, everything inside of his body, and that's why only the claws are, you know, I don't know.
And so the morph turns into Blob so that he can use that as a jumping point, and yeah, pretty good stuff. And then the UN shows up to take away Trask because the X-Men are working with the UN. Oh, by the way, this is such an homage to the comic books. Wolverine's outfit being shredded, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wolverine very rarely comes out of a fight with all of his clothes on. because he's so visceral and he's so up close and in your face. Everybody else is, like Rogue, she doesn't, you can't get a good punch in on Rogue because she's so powerful. You can't even get near Storm. Cyclops fights best at a distance. Bishop fights best at a distance. But Wolverine, no, he's going to run at you and tear you up. And no, look, I'm not saying that adamantium isn't very, because I know adamantium is indestructible as a metal, but Gambit's powers literally causes the molecules of something to explode apart. So how would adamantium be any different? I don't know. And so then Jubilee, by the way, they definitely went out of their way to make Jubilee look more Asian. And don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to. In fact, I will. Dirty little secret here: I watched the entire run of the original X-Men series and had no idea she was Asian.
Just like Kirk. That's right, Wolverine.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So, like if you look at her eyes here and her features, she just looks more Asian. They changed her look a little bit.
Just subtly.
Yeah, and I'm not saying they radically redesigned her, but I do appreciate that because, like I said, I had no idea she was Asian, even though I'd watched her for years.
Yeah.
And so, and since they didn't make her a stereotype going around, talking with a stereotypical Asian accent, you just didn't know.
Yeah.
But but the X-Men, one of the hallmarks of the X-Men is that they're a very international group. So that's perfectly within that. And that's why I like seeing Roberto here, who is Puerto Rican, they need to bring Sunspot on. Yeah. And there's the one time we see his powers at work. Sunspot absorbs solar energy and turns it into raw physical strength. And so if Sunspot is fully charged, he is as strong as Colossus. And Arabic, thank you so much, says Jolan True. Don't forget to check your P.O. box. Now, you sent it to the current one, right? The one that's in the description of the more recent videos, I hope. Because if you send it to the old one, I'm never going to see it. But thank you so much.
Okay.
All right.
This is the segment for Ariel. The
segment for Ariel.
Yeah, ASMR. Here I am with my Klaus and pickle. Let's see if you can hear the crunch.
I heard more slurping than crunching. I did hear the crunch, but then there's like this when you slurped it, which is kind of
that was
gross.
For you, Ariel. Yeah, I'm done. Sorry.
Daniel says, but not as strong as Juggernaut. What is your thing with Juggernaut? Dude, why don't you go watch Deadpool 2? You get a live-action Juggernaut who's actually comic book accurate. And Juggernaut, by the way, is not as strong as I think you think. Because Juggernaut
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
Did you really have to go there? But Juggernaut, like Colossus, is actually stronger than Juggernaut. But Juggernaut has this weird ability that if he's firmly planted on the ground, nothing can move him. And it doesn't make any sense, but that's his power. Does that make any sense to you? Did his power of... Now, they kind of changed it in the movies, and I don't know if they ever changed it in the comic books, because you read it later than I did. So in the comic books that I've read, Juggernaut was not an unstoppable force when he was running. It's just that if he was planted, nothing could move him. But in the movies, they made it so that, the stupid Juggernaut, I'm not talking about Juggernaut from Deadpool. I'm talking about, because we just saw him as a big tough guy. Mm-hmm. But in the X-Men movie, X-Men 3, Days of Crappy, whatever, Juggernaut they just said, once he gets running, nothing can stop him.
Yeah. That was back when Ellen Page was still a girl.
Yeah.
It's so weird seeing him
Yes,
now.
Ariel, Juggernaut is really using the power of the Citroc, or however you say it, Jim. He's not a mutant.
Yeah.
He's magic. I'm not calling it The Last Stand. Well, it's I can't stand that movie.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do a review of... Man, that's what we could do after we finish the Star Trek movies. We could watch all the X-Men movies.
I'd be down for that.
Oh, man. You know I would be getting so angry.
Yeah.
I hate those movies. All right. So, and then of course, we got another basketball session so that we can see, that, Gambit is still gay. And Jean is, for some reason, the referee. She shouldn't be out there at all, but hey, whatever. And then, dun, 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 I show up. Get it? Because I got gray hair and it's long.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I took it out of the ponytail, it wouldn't be that far off from that. Anyways, but I would never shave because I have no chin. So Magneto shows up and says, guess what? Charles left everything to me. Ha ha ha. The end.
Yeah. Now, go to the end credits, any of the end credits.
Well,
This
where
is
they're showing everybody's breakdown there?
It looks like a video game. I love
it
this.
does.
It's totally different from the original X-Men credits, which were just black screen.
All right.
This is cool. It's like a video game.
Yeah, so they show each character and what their power set is.
Yeah, plus, it looks like some of the characters are locked, and then the ones that are unlocked, and it shows you their what their powers are.
Generates explosive pyrotechnic energy plasmoids. Why'd you just say makes sparkles?
Right.
That's her power. She makes sparkles. And that's it. We'll get to the giant M outfit in a minute, but which spoiler warning, I'm not a fan of either, but it is comic book accurate.
Yeah.
So
That's his good guy suit, basically.
yeah. All right. So what did you think of episode 1 of X-Men 97?
I loved it. It was a nice, like I said, man, in the beginning, very nostalgic, like cuddling up in a nice warm blanket. I was stoked that they did basically pick it up just a few months after the last episode. Yeah. And
they also
I liked episode 2 better, though, which is cool. I hope they just keep getting better and better.
Yeah, I liked episode 2 a lot better as well. I thought episode 1 was a decent start. I think that the reason they started it the way they did was so they could have a fight with Sentinels, because that's what happened in episode 1 of the
1
original.
and 2 of the original, yeah.
Yeah. And so, maybe when Jubilee grows up, her powers could grow up and make big sparkles. Yeah. Oh, look, I can make bigger sparkles now. Whee! Yeah, I hate Jubilee. Sorry,
All right, just a reminder, I hate to be that guy, but
I'm switching to the other video, so just
Okay.
relax. Danny doesn't want to be hanging out with us very long.
that's not true, but
That is absolutely true. You said I'm not hanging out with you past, the 2-hour mark period. And I was like, why? And you were like, because I hate our audience, which I was
that
really...
is not what I said. It's
I
because
was really surprised you said that.
I have to meet about the second job offer I got for the 15th.
Why don't you take the first job offer?
I'm going to take them both.
Don't overdo it, man.
No. I'm going to take them both. And whichever one I like the most, I'll keep. And whichever one pays me more, stuff like that. Whichever one I like more.
Stanley, Dazzler's powers are she can turn sound into light. But that light can be focused into a laser. So it's not quite as useless as sparkles. But yes, Jubilee is a walking flashbang. That's her whole power.
Yeah.
All right, so we start with the previously on, and then we get Magneto is telling everybody. So Charles Xavier's last will and testament says Magneto inherits the mansion, and apparently the X-Men are the slaves of Charles Xavier because now they belong to Magneto. Which is kind of weird.
I do like how throughout this episode he does refer to them as my X-Men.
Right. And so the X-Men aren't all that thrilled about working with Magneto, but you know, that's too bad. That's what Charles wanted. Meanwhile, a random Ferris wheel breaks with people on it for reasons. And you know, so the X-Men show up. Well, Magneto.
Magneto shows up.
Yeah, Magneto shows up and saves everybody. But it's like, wait, so Magneto just happened to be in the neighborhood when a Ferris wheel broke? I'd be suspicious that he broke the Ferris wheel. You know. What are Cyclops and Jean going to do for money? OnlyFans. I'm just saying. They would make a ton. Could you imagine them on OnlyFans?
Well, you got to remember, this is taking place in the 90s. There was no OnlyFans back then.
They're going to found it.
Wow.
You know, couldn't you hear Beast? Well, Scott, I understand online pornography is a growing business. You might want to venture into that.
Awesome. So I don't know if you're noticing, I'm communicating in the chat, but Mercer saw Ghostbusters, the Frozen Empire. I asked him what he thought of it because some of the reviews have not been too good to it. And he says he liked it more than he expected. So I might go see that.
We're going to probably see it on Monday or Tuesday.
I certainly need to wash the bad taste of Dune out of my mouth. I can't let that be my last movie theater
shut up!
experience.
Dune was freaking awesome, and you are an idiot for not thinking so. Man, Dune was a masterpiece. You know how good Dune was? I'm like at the chapter 19 of the book. That's how good Dune was, is that it's actually getting me to go through Dune the book.
Nice. But you're listening to it, not reading it, right?
Yes, but it is the unabridged.
It's cheating, but that's fine.
I'm dyslexic.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Which, of course...
Are you at least following along in a book while it reads it to you? Or
no, because I'm usually driving.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I will say this. The new Dune follows the book more closely than the old Dune, but they leave out a lot of subplots. Mm-hmm. And some characters are so different. Like, you know, remember Gurney, played by Patrick Stewart originally, and Jason Momoa, or not Jason Momoa, but Josh Brolin.
Brolin. Yeah.
In the new one. Gurney is a musician by trade and is short and ugly.
Well, that's, you know, why they went with Patrick Stewart in the,
I mean,
the original one.
But you see, what they did was they kind of combined Duncan and because Duncan was his training person. Mm-hmm. Gurney was a soldier, but he was mostly known for his musical skills, which they never get into. Anyway, but so Jean quadrupled in size since the last episode. Look at that.
Yeah.
You know, that my wife was like, "Whoa, did she have twins? You know, what happened?"
Well, we all know that. Well, you and I at least know the fate of that poor baby.
Nathan.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know the whole story of what happened to him because I stopped reading X-Men by the time he came.
Well, it's what leads her to become a villain. She, you know, when. So, and I guess this is going to start happening in the next episode because, well, I'll wait till we get to it. Never mind. I'll wait till we get
well,
to it.
anyway, so Jean and Scott are talking about should we leave when Magneto's here? Good question. Meanwhile, the UN is like, hey, you know, mutants are bad, and the Friends of Humanity are abusing mutants. So these are the Morlocks, led by Callisto, who, do you even know what is Callisto's power? Just that she's ugly and has an eye patch? I really never understood, why is Callisto a mutant? Because most of the Morlocks, and by the way, if you want to know what the Morlocks are, watch Futurama, because the mutants living in the sewers are based on the Morlocks. They're basically ugly.
She has an enhanced sense of sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch.
Okay. So like Wolverine's senses.
She also has superhuman strength, speed, and agility. So,
Right.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm trying to fill
And
in
she's
for-
ugly and has an eye patch.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you barking at? Hold up a second. I got to see who's at the door.
Dog's
or you
gonna
can
fart.
keep talking without me. I'll be right back.
All right, so the Morlocks so live in the sewers, and the Friends of Humanity want to eliminate them because they're mutants. And so then, Magneto shows up, and this is the costume you were talking about. This is Magneto's hero costume. With the bare shoulders are just weird. The giant M I can deal with, but I think the bare shoulders need to go. What do you think?
Well, it's comic book accurate. So there's
It is comic book accurate, but I'm just saying I think the bare shoulders are weird.
I agree. But, take it up with whoever drew it that way.
I
Originally.
mean, look, he looks like he should be at a nightclub and wearing lipstick. I'm just saying.
yeah.
And going by like Marge because of the giant M. So he talked about how he gave the Morlocks a sanctuary in Genosha, which is a mutant country, but nobody recognizes it as a country.
Yet.
And so, and they're basically arguing. Look at this. Here's the gay part. Right.
He even has that look on his face like, she caught us.
Yeah. So Magneto is trying to convince the X-Men to trust him, but he keeps demanding that they trust him, which is not the nicest way to put it. You don't say, trust me or I'll kill you. No, then I'm not going to trust you. Look at that pose.
Yeah.
Yeah, Magneto is totally gay. No, we know he's not from later, but...
Yes.
So there's Jean holding her Marvel girl costume.
Yep.
Man, it pisses me off that she won't call herself Marvel Girl.
Well,
What?
nothing.
You like?
I'll wait
Marvel?
I'll wait till we get to the end of the episode.
And so she's yapping with Storm about quitting the X-Men, and they're crying and having more realistic tears than Picard in Generations, and this is a freaking cartoon. Anyway, so then Rogue and Magneto start talking, and we find out that they have a past that Rogue does not want shared with the rest of the team. And then Magneto takes off her glove and touches her. Or is that later? I think it's later. Okay.
That's later.
Yeah, so the UN shows up and says, Magneto, you're under arrest. And don't worry, we got plastic guns, so you can't do anything. So he's like, yeah, hold my beer while I grab your helicopters and threaten to kill you with them.
Yeah.
However, Magneto, and this is very typical of Magneto. He's like, look, are you going to give me a fair trial and exonerate me and trust me if I win? And you're like, well, yeah. He's like, okay, then I turn myself in. And which is... and the Trial of Magneto was the name of an issue of X-Men. Mm-hmm. And the cover of that is coming up here. Did you notice where they duplicated that cover?
Yeah.
So, and this guy, though, is plotting, and his name is so stupid. I'm the Executioner. I just wanted to go, oh, man. So you tell dad jokes, don't you? Because that is like horrible.
Hold up. I'll show it to everybody.
What?
No, so the cover, I got it right here.
Oh,
Let me
okay.
share
Okay,
it.
right
Yeah,
here. Okay, so
Yeah. Yeah, you pretty much. Yeah.
so there's the frame from the animated series, and you got the cover ready?
Here it comes. And add to screen. There it is. Yeah.
So the difference,
Trial of Magneto.
yeah, the trial of Magneto, which, yeah. You know, so it's obviously the only difference is what's behind him, but that's because in the cover, it was the X-Men fighting the people that were trying to assassinate him. Yeah. And this, the X-Men do fight the people trying to assassinate him, although they changed it. It's not a brother-sister mutant team, but the idea is the same. They're trying to kill Magneto during the trial, and Magneto saves the judges, which is what exonerates him more than anything else. So Magneto's like telling them that, like, you know, you were attacking me because of things you perceived I did to you, but I was responding to things you did to me. And so basically his defense boils down to, you started it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much his defense. I mean, granted, and honestly, and yes, Mercer, I say I'm right in the middle of something, right? Because I'm right in the middle of something, Mercer. We're not talking about Ghostbusters as much as, you know, we'll talk about Ghostbusters maybe next week if Danny gets to see it.
No, I'm definitely going to see it. If my meeting doesn't run too long, because we're meeting at a restaurant at South Point. They have a movie theater there. If there's a showing today that gets me out in time to make it to the AA meeting at 10, I'm going to see it today. Otherwise, I'm seeing it tomorrow. But I'm seeing it today or tomorrow. So, yeah.
And like I said, we'll probably see it Monday or Tuesday.
Okay, that could be our Friday review next week then.
Yeah.
That, and I guess there'll be one more episode of X-Men. We can
and since we'll only have one episode of X-Men, we can do an episode of X-Men and Ghostbusters.
Yeah, that'll work. Okay, cool. Production meeting live on air. Sorry, guys.
Well, we're trying. You only have 25 minutes before we got to be done. So I'm trying to go.
Here's what I'm gonna do. They're gonna text me when they're headed there, and I haven't got that text yet. So I'm gonna stay until I get that text. Okay.
Well, we'll
but let's shoot for 5. Yeah.
All right. So anyway, so his real defense is self-defense.
Yeah.
That's basically what he's saying. Is that the crimes that he did were in self-defense, and in fairness, look, I think Magneto belongs in prison. He did some horrible things. Yes, his cause may be just, but he committed crimes. The
crimes were committed.
Yeah.
And had he not saved these people's lives, which heavily influenced their decision, he'd have been found guilty.
Yes. And it's just like, look, if you go back in the day, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, which is who Professor X and Magneto were based on. Mm-hmm. And if Malcolm X had not been murdered by his own people when he reformed, then, you know, he would belong in jail. Mm-hmm. However, Martin Luther King, he didn't hurt anybody. And he did go to jail.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Jean starts going into labor, and I love the Wolverine going, "Oh crap!"
I liked how they had Wolverine act in this whole from this point on.
He's coming, and he pops out his claws. Who, Apocalypse?
You know, and then when he's driving her, and he's like running into the walls and shit, and she's having to use her powers to move people out of the way so he doesn't kill them. Yeah.
Although I was sitting there going, you know, he could give her a C-section right there.
Yeah, right.
That's what I was half expecting. Was it's like, okay, let me get that baby out.
Yeah, that's funny.
So yeah, right here, he's about to run over a puppy.
Yeah.
You know, you see Jean using her powers to get people out of the way.
I like how she gingerly puts the drink back in this dude's hand.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the X-Men are fighting the people trying to assassinate Magneto. And
I'm surprised how much they're getting their asses whipped in this fight, to be honest with you, because they're all human, you know.
They're humans armed with Sentinel tech. And the problem is that Scott, this is where Scott made a couple of tactical errors here. Like by putting Storm outside, Storm and Rogue were supposed to like defend the perimeter. And they're your two most powerful players.
It would have made more sense to have Storm outside and keep Rogue inside, because Storm could use the elements in her attack outside, and Rogue could, be the OP one on the inside,
Right.
keeping Magneto safe. Plus, it makes more sense because she and Magneto kind of have a past, so she might have a little bit more
Willingness to help.
Yeah, that's not the word I was looking for, but you get the idea. Yeah. Motivation to help. That's the word I was looking for. Motivation.
So everything's going crazy. When they come, I do like this where Magneto makes a bunch of metal pillars out of the furniture.
Yeah, he takes
And then-
every piece of metal he can out of that room and turns them into
it
giant
turns it into
spikes
metal pillars, and then Storm has lightning arcing between them to prevent people from getting close.
to create a cage. And Magneto even has some line about create. Yeah.
However, this guy is drawing a bead on it, and he shoots at Magneto but hits Storm.
Well, that's because Storm
saw it coming and jumped in the way.
She got in the way. She Secret Serviced the whole thing, basically. Jumped right in front of it. So she took that one.
That's pretty brutal right there. I mean, I gotta say, for a cartoon like this, that was pretty brutal. Now, I'm trying to remember how exactly, because, man, my memory is fading. How did Storm lose her powers in the comics? I know it wasn't like this.
No, so she lost her powers from Gyrick, I believe, in the comic books, with the Forge. They got a weapon from the Forge, and then there was a lot of crossover, like, because she gets her powers back temporarily from Loki. And then she loses them again. And then, dude, like in the comics, she doesn't have. In fact, I had to write this down. So
it was like years, wasn't it?
It was 140 to 100. I have to look it up, but it was somewhere around 140, 150 issues. She didn't have powers.
So that's like 10 years.
That's a long effing time. Yeah, it's a long time she didn't have powers. And she gets them back finally. And I think they're going to fast track it because she leaves. So in the comics, she goes to Africa to go back to her roots and just kind of live as a human. Right. And then she ends up saving a mother and daughter from certain death. And that gives her the itch to be a hero again. So she goes back to the X-Men, and she's actually an X-Man without powers for quite a while before they get her powers back in the comic books. I can't remember exactly how she got them back in the comics, but yeah.
But they're doing it a little different. She took the shot from the special gun that was going to depower Magneto, and instead it depowered her.
Okay, I just looked it up.
Mm-hmm.
So Forge creates a new machine, kind of like, I guess, Superman 2, that she steps in.
That can restore her?
And it restores her powers. Okay. So that's how they did it in the comic. But
Forge
Forge is not in this cartoon, so they're probably going to have Hank figure it out, would be my guess.
Or Bishop.
Yeah, something, yeah.
So Magneto grabs the Executioner dude, and then he gives a real display of what he can do. So he brings Executioner and the entire jury.
This is a boss fucking move. I don't care if you don't like Magneto or not.
And
this is
look,
boss.
He's like, look, I could kill you all with a thought right now, but I'm not gonna. I could and I should kill this guy because of what he just did to Storm, but I'm not gonna. Right? This is Magneto showing that he has truly reformed. And he credits
Xavier in this. He's like, I don't.
He made a promise to Xavier that he would respect his wishes.
Yeah. Which, man, gets me in the fucking feels. It really does. Like, at the end, that's what I love about X-Men First Class is how well they did the relationship between Charles and Magneto, because they really were besties. And at the end, when it's Magneto's fault that Charles is paralyzed, man, that's another movie that makes me cry every time I watch it, because that's some good, powerful. That's some bromance shit right there.
Well, and they actually did it. That's one of the. I can't believe I'm going to say this. One of the few good things about X-Men: The Last Stand was that after Professor X was killed, one of the Brotherhood was saying, "Yeah, it's good that he's gone," and Magneto was like, "There is no greater man than Charles Xavier."
Yeah,
so that respect was even there in the movies.
Just gave me goosebumps just thinking about
all
that.
I see is a big old skull.
Yeah. Well, they were there. They're still there. don't know if you can see him.
Uh,
Look at the
no,
hair
I-
standing up. Can't see the hair standing up? That's not.
No,
anyway.
sorry. Is that your mutant power? Let me
no,
use
man.
my hair. All right. So then we were introduced to Nathaniel Summers, who was born, and the U.S. pardons Magneto and recognizes Genosha.
And yes, finally Genosha gets its recognition as
Yeah.
a sovereign nation.
And so I love their little
I like this
coffee
part.
cups.
He's like poison. Like Magneto's asking him if he poisoned it, which I thought was funny.
But it's like, yeah, they got XMen logoed coffee cups.
Hey man, they got good branding. What can I say? I mean, as someone
so-
in the marketing industry, I appreciate good branding. So.
And Beast gives Storm the bad news that the losing the powers is permanent.
Permanent.
And since they went through the trouble of introducing Callisto, remember Storm fights Callisto without her powers, and that's like a big deal.
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And Storm can't feel the elements, and she gets scared by lightning, which is
For the first time in her life.
yeah. And so she leaves a goodbye letter to the X-Men, and
Here we go. Here we go.
And then- yeah,
you went too fast. Isn't this where Gambit?
So yeah, right here, look at this. Rogue and Magneto can touch. Did you know about this?
No, man.
So
I don't
this is
remember
something
this.
new.
I don't know if it's. I'll be research department. I don't remember this though.
Yeah, I do not remember Rogue and Magneto having any kind of romance.
Hey, we got a rogue expert in the chat. Broken Birds. While I'm looking this up, do you remember any of this in the comics?
Yeah, the Rogue and Magneto can touch, and it doesn't drain Magneto for some reason. Eric, Magneto's helmet.
Oh, yeah,
is-
they do. X-Men Legacy 249, a title I've never read.
Yeah.
They consummate their relationship in the main 616 timeline.
Wow.
So this is all X-Men Legacy. I never read any X-Men Legacy. So
yeah,
they're
I
pulling
haven't
it.
either.
Yeah.
And Eric, Magneto's helmet is like on a shelf.
See, of course, I told you Amanda would know. She says, yeah. And then she goes, it's gross.
Let me show you my magnet.
Yeah.
So then this
that scene where
Yeah.
Gambit gets a little heartbroken.
yeah, Gambit is hurt. Morph goes out to console
This is the scene I was
Wolverine.
talking about. Yeah. Oh no, I'm wrong. It must have been the
Yeah,
other scene.
yeah, we
'cause he
missed
does
it,
Sabretooth. Yeah.
Yeah, he becomes Sabretooth, which actually cheers up Wolverine.
Yeah.
And so they're getting over things. Storm leaves. Dang,
Yeah.
I have like an itch in my throat. Hate that.
Hannibal says they got down in Age of Apocalypse. Now I'm disappointed. I used to have that trade. I had that whole run in a trade, and I don't have to. I drank a lot of alcohol, killed a lot of brain cells.
Yeah.
So 18 days sober today, though. So.
All
Thank God
right,
for
and
that.
so Jean reads the letter, and Morph is like, "Oh, don't worry, she'll be back." And then the door knocks.
Dun dun dun.
Oh,
What did I say? She's back.
Oh, in the alternate reality, not in the main timeline, Rogue and Magneto are married and have a child. But that's an alternate reality.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
So the doorbell rings, and who is it? It's Jean. But Jean is holding their baby. So what's going on? And of
I'd
course,
be more than happy to tell you.
yeah. In the comic books, go ahead.
Well, so in the comics, the woman that got married to Scott and just gave birth to Nathaniel is a clone, and her name is actually Maddie.
Yeah,
And
Madeline
she's-
Pryor, right?
That sounds right. I just remember her by Maddie, and she goes crazy and joins like Hellfire Club or something like. She becomes a bad guy because Scott leaves her, and then her
For
baby
Jean.
dies. Yeah, for Jean, the real Jean.
Yeah.
And then Nathaniel dies, and so she just snaps and she breaks bad, and it becomes kind of a big deal for a little while.
Right.
I don't know if they're going to do all of that, which would be cool if they did, but
Now,
they're going to
what,
do something.
what happened to Nathan now?
I don't remember exactly how he died, but he dies.
As a baby?
I can look this up. As a baby, yeah. I could look this up.
See, because when I stopped reading just shortly before Nathan was born, so
Let's see. See if I can. Jason was so much better at this.
yes.
I know.
Thank you for reminding everybody.
Yeah, I miss that guy.
Although he always smelled of, maple.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
are
I can't.
terrible
I can't.
research department.
I am. I can't. I'll have to save this for next time.
Yeah.
But she does end up. They'll probably go the Mr. Sinister route because he's been a big bad in this cartoon.
Right. That's why I was wondering if we're going to see Mr. Sinister.
Yeah. So I bet you when they'll probably rush the story because this went over years.
Yeah.
Maddie's
only have 10
gonna.
episodes.
Yeah, Maddie's gonna break bad and probably join Sinister. This is going to be my guess. So it's not exactly like the comics, but it's close enough. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm sorry, Arabic. If you look at let me because I don't keep it in my description anymore just because I don't want
Lost you, Michael. Michael, or is it me that got lost? Uh-oh. Nope, it was Michael. I'm still here. Confirm that, chat. Am I still here? Is it just me? Okay, yeah, it's just me. Wow. Well, that's weird. Let me give him a call. I wonder what's going on here. Yeah, right. We're unsupervised. That's funny. Let's see. And Michael. Put it on speaker so you guys can hear it too.
Hey, let me guess. I dropped out of the stream.
Yeah, I'm still here. The chat's confirmed that, but you've disappeared on us.
Yeah, I realized I clicked on the wrong thing. I'll be back in just a minute.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Okay. You heard it here, folks. He clicked on the wrong thing. So I guess he'll be back when he gets here. I guess I could stop trying to be the research department. It's a lot easier when we had three people because one person could just be quiet and look something up while the other two talk to kind of cover up the dead space, of me trying to look something up. But yeah, I can't find it. If any of you guys in the chat know, he was wanting to know how baby Nathaniel dies. I don't recall. We're talking about shit I read 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 35 years ago. Yeah, not 40. I'd have been 5. So anyway, let's see. Uh-oh. Oh, come on, Danny. Now you can end the stream. Oh, no. Okay, he's back.
Sorry,
no, and I wouldn't do that to Michael. Plus, we still got, or no, we were right at the end of the episode. Right.
Yeah, we're right at the end. So we were just talking about what may happen.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and just see. I'm getting the information here for you. I'm just going to put it in the chat for you, Arabic. So bear with me.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, but Mastermind made her in the comics, and she's the one that came back after the saga or whatever. But I'm trying to find the thing about what kills the baby. I still haven't found it because this was from 86,
Right,
or 88, one of the two. I'm still looking. Let's see.
Yeah. 1, 2, 9. Had to look it up. All right, there you go. Arabic, that I apologize for dropping out, but there's the PO box. All right. So anyway, so what do you think of episode 2?
I liked it a lot.
Yes.
I love.
I didn't know they were going good Magneto route. I had no idea they were going there.
Unfortunately, it was spoiled for me. I had read something by somebody who got like advanced copies to review, and that got spoiled for me. So I knew they were going to go that route. I was more shocked that they did the Storm storyline.
They threw the Storm storyline, the Magneto storyline, and the Madeline Pryor storyline all into one.
In one, yeah, that's a lot of shit happening in one episode.
Right,
That's
and,
like
and this is only a 10
years.
episode season.
Yeah.
So I don't see how they could resolve, like, especially if Mr. Sinister is behind Madeline. Now we know that Professor X needs to come back eventually, and Magneto will no longer be the leader of the X-Men.
Well, Magneto, he leads the X-Men for a very long time, but then when Charles comes back, he breaks bad again for whatever reason. Yeah.
And so, and I think
Spoiler,
it's because,
guys. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Well, because I think the way that it is Eric, the way he thinks is that the world needs Charles Xavier. But if the world has Charles Xavier, he's going to go on and do his whole crazy bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, so I think he recognizes that Charles is the better man. But with Charles is around, he's like, I'm going to go ahead and do my thing. Which is funny because he does things that endanger the X-Men all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy dog.
It's a complicated relationship, but I like it, and I've said this in the past. They wish they could have done Anakin and Obi-Wan the way X-Men does Professor X and Magneto. You know what I mean?
Well, the problem with Anakin and Obi-Wan is we only had a couple of movies to go through their whole arc.
Yeah.
And honestly,
they did a better job in one movie with X-Men First Class. That was a better Anakin Obi-Wan type of relationship in that one movie. So I don't buy that for that argument of yours. They had two movies.
George Lucas is also not the strongest writer.
This is true.
They actually had 3 movies if you count
Raise a Kid.
But I think introducing him as a kid was stupid. Because when they bring baby Anakin into the council, he's too young. It's like, what do they need to be fetuses at the beginning of training? That makes no sense. The kid's 9 years old. He's not too young to start. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I got mad. And Arabic, let me know you got that address. I want to make sure because you were asking for it.
So what about are we going to wait till the season's over to rate, or do we want to?
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of those things where it's going to go there. It's going to be one story for the 10 episodes,
one story arc,
which means they could ruin it at any time. Like all of a sudden the story becomes about how Morph is struggling with coming out. It's like,
please don't.
Yeah.
It's kind of like while I hate.
I'm just glad to hear you. I just want to make sure you had it. Cool, Arabic. Right.
While I hate Discovery, that one non-binary character who wanted to be referred to as they, them, that actually didn't bother me because he, she, it, they were a trill, and a trill is
a true non-binary character.
I mean, because that trill has been man, woman, whatever for eons, and in by definition, that's a they, them. So that didn't bother me. Now, a lot of other shit bothered me, but that one thing made sense.
You see, here's my problem with it. I don't like the trill concept. You're 100% right. Trill is a non-binary, or actually, asexual, if you will, but switches from body to body. So yeah,
right. Man could be woman, female,
right.
Whatever. And
that's interesting in and of itself. And in fact, I think what would be interesting is if you have
Hey, Sherry, she gets here right as we're about to sign off.
I think, but hear me out on this. I think it would have been interesting, like they could introduce a Trill character who, let's say, has been a male for 5 hosts, and then all of a sudden is put in a female and feels just wrong, out of place. There, you and without ever saying "call me they, them" or any of that crap, you can create to try and show people this is what it's like to be trans.
See, that's a good, tasteful way of doing that,
Right.
within the Star Trek world, instead of what they're doing in Discovery and shoving everything down your throat.
Right.
You know,
and so and that could actually be an interesting story, because I mean, imagine what that must feel like for someone who for hundreds of years has been a man and now all of a sudden is a woman, doesn't know how to deal with it.
yeah.
You know, and so that I think could be an interesting story without having to shove the modern vernacular down your
Yeah.
throat.
No, that's a great idea, actually.
Yeah.
You hear that, Star Trek writers? I know you're not watching.
All right, so with that, I think we're going to wrap it up. Now, tomorrow, even though we don't have Jason, we're going to continue on the watching of Star Trek movies. So we're going to be watching the worst movie in history.
Damn it! I wish Jason was still around.